The Devil's Advocates radio show is broadcast under a time brokerage agreement between Devil Radio and Civic Media, Inc. Some portions of this program may be pre-recorded. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the Civic Media Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
And now, here's your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Dom, it's Thursday, Friday Eve, and I would say our Republican friends, air quotes, they're in disarray, Dom.
Crute, happy Friday Eve. Good to be with you. Nate, always working hard on the word. Thank you, man. Of course, our fair audience. Happy Friday Eve to us all. Yeah, I've heard it. I've said it. I believe it. Especially here in the state of Wisconsin. The Wisconsin party, Crute, is in disarray.
The Wisconsin GOP is a party divided against itself. We're feeling unified here, Dom. We got a fine guest coming soon. He is Chad Spate. He's the official sponsor of the For the Love of Democracy Tour, Chad's design build. So we're going to talk about the love, Dom. Feeling the love. Chad's coming in the house in just a minute. But, Dom, this headline, this intriguing headline from the great state of Wisconsin, it's where we start. Republican rift over impeaching elections chief Megan Wolf boils over in the assembly. And there's some strong words being used here, fella. Divisions among Wisconsin Republicans over an effort to oust the state's top election official spilled onto the assembly floor this week as GOP leaders continue to block efforts by a small faction, very small faction, to impeach the leader of the Wisconsin Elections Commission. Rep. Janelle Branchen, a Republican from Menominee Falls, on Tuesday tried for the second time to bring forward to the floor a resolution to launch impeachment proceedings against the administrator, Megan Wolf, over false claims about the 2020 election. Don, the move during Tuesday's Assembly floor session was blocked and characterized by Assembly Majority Leader Tyler August on Thursday as a grift.
Oh!
And a big show for the cameras. Now, Branchen issued a press release calling August Assembly Speaker Robin Voss and Assembly Speaker Pro Tem Kevin Peter, her public relations team.
She's accusing Republicans of basically being PR for Megan Wolf, for whom they would like to impeach.
For whom she would like to impeach for administering
an election
as directed by the Wisconsin Elections Commission. Here
the
is
bipartisan. Yes.
August, speaking regarding your girl, Janelle Branchen, if she has the support to move the resolution forward, she can do so. But the fact is, she doesn't. Our caucus is focused on real things.
Ooh.
Like what? Eliminating DEI on campus?
Yes, very important real things.
Following August's comments, GOP Rep. Scott Allen of Waukesha, Dom, shout out WAUK 540 listeners, accused his caucus leaders of blocking representation unlawfully. When a single member is ignored, when a member is not recognized, we disenfranchise nearly 60,000 Wisconsinites. Big words, Allen. When we as members allow the abuse of the power by leaders of this chamber, we erode the prestige and the honor of the assembly, and we damage the legitimacy of our democratic republic. Blah, blah, blah. We step onto a slippery slope that leads to
the slippery slope
of power.
Maybe you guys should get your own team together, man. A little dissension in the locker room, Crute.
Oh, they're a party in disarray, Tom.
Oh, man, there's more. Allen then called on Assembly Speaker Pro Tem Kevin Peterson. Apparently the PR team for Wolf.
Megan Wolf.
called on him to resign if he refused to allow Branchen to speak about the resolution on the floor when the proposal was not before the House. Peterson shot back, accusing Branchen of using the Wolf impeachment effort to harass her Republican colleagues. Quote, a member working with groups posting for days on social media to attend an assembly session so that that member can then harass other members in the chambers because they are ineffective on passing their bills through the normal process is not decorum, Peterson, a Republican from Wapaka, said. As long as I am in the chair, this will not be tolerated. This is a blatant disregard for the integrity of this institution. Oh, man, Republicans calling other Republicans a blatant disregard for integrity. In an interview Wednesday at WTAQ, Branchen said the state Senate has signaled to the resolution authors that Republicans in that House, support holding an impeachment trial. Senate President Chris Kapinga urged Voss to advance the impeachment articles. Voss, what you going to do? Voss assigned the resolutions to a committee led by GOP Rep. David Stephan of Green Bay, who signed on to the resolution as a co-chair author on Wednesday. The resolution has languished in the assembly, even as former President Donald Trump has shared with his 6.5 million social media followers a press release from Branchen criticizing Voss for not moving to impeach Wolf. The 2024 GOP presidential primary frontrunner continues to cast the state's nonpartisan election administrator as a villain in its false narrative about the battleground state's 2020 election.
You know, Tyler August, he was talking about the important work the assembly is doing. The Republicans, those excluding, of course, the grifty Janelle Branchen. Well, here is another proposal put forth by these Republicans today, Dom.
Yeah.
Wisconsin lawmakers, Republican-led chambers, approve parental bill of rights over child's pronouns in sensitive school lessons. Oh, we've got some snowflake bills here, Dom.
Yeah.
Dateline Madison Assembly Republicans on Thursday. I'm reading from the article of Jesse Apoyan at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Assembly Republicans today revisited an effort to codify a set of rights granted to parents and guardians over their children in school, including, Dom, the right to determine the child's name and pronouns used at school, and the right to withdraw a student from lessons for personal or religious reasons. Weren't you withdrawn from classes for religious reasons, Dom? Like you didn't believe the religion?
That I was excused from religion class at Appleton Xavier High School. Yes, that's correct. Thankfully, for everyone
Dom,
involved.
This might have been a party line vote. The bill passed 62 to 35 and awaits action from the Senate. Democratic Governor Tony Evers is likely to veto the proposal if it makes it to his desk. And he's done that before, right? All the other anti-gay, anti-trans bills, he continues to veto them. So when Tyler August, when he's talking about the very important work they got to get back to, Dom, it's to put forth hopeless legislation that will never be signed into law, not under this governor, to, sort of isolate kids that might be somehow different than Tyler August. Although, quite frankly, if you put, I'm not going to go there. I so want to go there, with him and Janelle Branchen put side by side. They make such a cute couple. I got to think
the
it makes
Republican Party
god-awful ugly kids, but go on.
I mean, ugly on the inside. I have to say, I agree with Peterson in this case. Janelle Branchen doesn't have the votes on this thing. Voss doesn't want this. Regardless what the Senate President Kapinga says, if Voss doesn't want it, it's not going to happen. He said so much, interviewed a weekend or two ago, that this was never going to happen. It's not going to happen, according to Voss. So I think it is a reflection, certainly, of what's going on a nationwide basis with the GOP versus the MAGA.
I would remind you, my little buddy, Janelle Branchen only feels like she's this mouthpiece for the MAGA movement because she was empowered to be the mouthpiece for the MAGA movement. She was
by whom?
By Robin Voss. Then and still Speaker of the Wisconsin Assembly, of course, made her the chair of the Assembly Elections Committee. He knew her proclivities for believing conspiracy theories about rigged elections.
It's the same attitude as Heidi hiring former Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice, disgraced as you call him, Gableman, right? Voss knew this. There was nothing here. Voss was trying
I
to
only call him
placate.
that because it's true.
And Voss is trying to placate, the hard right, playing that game, playing that political game. And this is the big, open secret about MAGA. It doesn't work. If you give, they want more. How much can I give? A little bit more. You're never going to placate them unless you go full on insurrection. And of course, that's not wise politically speaking. I think that would be have some blowback against Robin Voss. So when you try to play
Like
with
a
MAGA, they
recall
don't play
election?
nice.
They're
trying to recall him
currently-
right now. Yes,
They're trying to, and the only thing preserving Robin Voss, at least in the short run, the Wisconsin Supreme Court ruling on the gerrymandering, saying these maps are so bad, these so rigged maps from Robin Voss and his Republican friends, that he can't be recalled under these unconstitutional maps. He's being saved, preserved, if you will, Dom,
by the
from
bought
being
and paid for
recalled.
liberals on the Wisconsin Supreme Court, kowtowing to their out-of-state donors.
In some
It's a
twisted
hell of a way
sort
to
of way.
stay alive,
Exactly.
Voss. You're right.
Keep yourself alive, Robin. Whatever it takes, Dom. But, bring it to the floor. Show your true colors, Republicans, because this is what your party has turned into. I mean, because you could pretend like this is a fringe movement. Janelle Branchen, she's a grifter. She's a fringer. No, she's speaking to the base of the Republican Party. They believe as she believes, because you've allowed this lie to be perpetrated over and over again through your actions, through your committee assignments, through your hiring of Gableman. It has taken on a life of its own. And now the creature may just bite your ass.
The creature will defeat the master.
Creating
It's
much
over, man.
distress
Yeah.
in the Republican Party.
Of the
And this is
percentage of
before Trump is the nominee.
of the percentage of Republicans that are out there, how many, Crute, do you think would call themselves, identify as MAGA versus say
Today?
traditional? Today, yes.
Or after Super Tuesday. After Trump wins the nomination, around March 12th. Because they're all going to be Trumpsters then. They're all going to be down because he's the nominee. They're all going to march into battle with this guy, right? Janelle and Robin Voss and Tyler August, all just arm in arm. They'll be a united party by then, Dom.
What did Tyler
United
August say? A
By
grift
MAGA.
and a big show for the cameras. That pretty much describes the entire MAGA movement.
Chad Spate, Chad's Design Build, the sponsor of the For the Love of Democracy tour.
Do you have questions about whether legal cannabis is right for you? I'm Alan Robinson, co-founder of Herbal Aspect. Cannabis is my business, my vocation, and my passion. Schedule an in-person or virtual cannabis consultation with me. A $50 value at no cost, just for Devil Radio listeners. Receive personalized advice, benefit from my undivided attention, and I'll guide you through helping you make an informed choice among Herbal Aspect's extensive selection. And get 10% off your first purchase when you use the code DevilRadio at herbalaspect.com.
Hi, I'm Mike Crute, and I've signed my share of commercial real estate leases. In Madison, I highly recommend Jeff Jansen from Alta's Commercial Real Estate. Jeff guided me to my first radio station location on the west side. He helped us move to University Ave, and eventually Jeff set up the lease on the Civic Media World headquarters. No one works harder to provide options in commercial leasing. Call Jeff Jansen and his team at Alta's Commercial Real Estate.
Yep, real quick. Hello. Can you talk to me?
I can just barely hear you.
Oh,
Maybe
boy.
that's the way it's supposed to be.
Well, we're coming back.
92.7 WMDX.
I don't know if you know the Devil's Advocates, but the show is kind of a big deal.
And we're back from the 420 break. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. If you missed any of this fine program, go to civicmedia.us, click on the shows tab, look for the Devil's Advocates. Of course, get that super cool app, civicmedia.us.
Dominic, I brought in right next to me here in the WMDX studios, Chad Spade from Chad's Design Build. And I'm feeling the love, Dom, because Chad is the official sponsor of the For the Love of Democracy Tour 2024. Chad, welcome down.
Hey guys, great to be here.
It's
I'm
been too
feeling
long,
the love
Chad.
today.
Yeah, man. Good to see you, Chad.
I had a friend of mine, actually Darcy Haber, you might know
Yeah, I know
Darcy,
Darcy.
fine realtor in this town in her own regard. She loves your new ads, Chad, and she loves the theme. Love is the theme.
You bet.
Why love, Chad?
Well, there's just too much hatred and division in this world. And I know we've got to push back with force and with, resolve. But we have to be better than the folks we're fighting against. And the fact is, a lot of folks, for no fault of their own, have learned to hate. They hate us. And we're not going to win them over by hating them. And I'm talking about the good people of Wisconsin that listen to this show, and many good people all over this country and world who have fallen into this false narrative that, the real problem are working people or poor people or immigrants, all these people that they learn to hate. And the fact of the matter is 95% of us share a lot. And when we come together, the powers that be don't stand a chance. And so that's what we've got to do. And, the biggest threat to that right now is the orange squirrel. I don't like to say his name.
I was going to ask, what about the demeaning name calling? Dom likes that quite a bit, but the orange squirrel, that's sort of a tame one. Chad, how does calling a man an orange squirrel comport with your love?
I love squirrels, man. They're so cute.
Squirrels are squirrels. But yeah, I just, I don't like to give I'm a big Harry Potter fan. And, I get it. I do believe that there's as good and evil in the world, and Harry Potter's a great kind of tale for our times and kind of pushing back against that. But you famously don't say the name of the V guy in the Harry Potter kind of narrative, and I don't like saying the T word for that reason. But and I look, I am capable of feeling hate towards that man. Don't get me wrong. I am a human being. But a lot of the people that support that man are not hateful people. They have bought into just a pack of lies. And, it's hard now to know what the truth is anymore. We live in a world with social media and the internet where, it's so easy to get out all this misinformation. I was in New York City a few weeks ago. And, whenever I'm there, I'm reminded of the crazy people I used to see out on the corner who were, saying something, and you think, wow, like that's just crazy. And now that crazy person, any person can just broadcast their, hatred or their disgust or their fears and amplify that the world over. And there are people that are using those voices to turn us all against each other. And that's what we have to fight. Because I got to tell you guys, I am excited about what you're doing here at Civic Media. I am excited about this upcoming election. I am not naive at all about what we're up against, but I have watched every election building up to this moment. And, our side has been outperforming expectations. And that's because, we as a people believe that women should be able to control their own bodies, that workers should be able to have a voice in the workplace, that we are an immigrant nation and that we need to have a sane process for people to remake their lives here. And all of this is a part of the conversation, and we have to use our brains and our emotions in a way that pushes us towards positive change. Using hatred and lies is not going to win the day. So that's why it's about love.
Chad Spade from Chad's Design Build. He is the name sponsor of the For the Love of Democracy Tour 2024. And Chad, I'd like you and the audience to know what we're putting your fine sponsorship partnership, what we're spending the money on. Well, sometimes it just happens that democracy and the political calendar goes to Vegas. So Crudy's going to Vegas next. That'll be February 6th through the 10th. And we'll be broadcasting 4 live shows because not only do they have a primary there, they've got a competing caucus. And Chad, I don't know if you know this, but it also happens to be the week of the Super Bowl.
Yes.
So should our Packers, our beloved Packers, make it, I'll place all your bets. We'll put them at the MGM Grand.
Hey,
That's where your money's going, Chad.
that's awesome.
It's going to Vegas, baby.
And isn't love why the Packers are, going where they're going?
Literally, Jordan Love.
Right, dude.
Chad, you have a business here in town. You've been doing it a long time, and you went to college in this town. And I think there's affinity for the city of Madison. But
Absolutely.
we appreciate and thank you for the sponsorship. But how does politics and your politics and these thoughtful things you've just said, Chad, how does that creep into your work life?
Well, so we remodel homes. We work with people who live in those homes, and it's you have to know what you're doing, and you have to show people kindness and love and respect when you're in their home tearing it apart. And when you're confronting things or finding things that maybe you didn't expect, you've got to be honest.
Don't look in Dom's closets.
But so, the work we do requires, thoughtfulness and honesty and good communication. And these are things which contribute to a functioning democracy. It just so happens. And so I see a lot of parallels there. One of my ads this time around speaks to that. I mean, we do have to fight for what is right. And in the remodeling world, it's about making your home better and more comfortable and respecting people's time and their budgets and all that. But you just have to be real with people. Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth, but that's what we have to do. But we try to tell it in a kind and nurturing way. And that's what our politics needs to return to being. And it's going to take a long, hard fight. I know it won't be over in 2024, but you guys are helping to get the word out there. I appreciate what you do. I'm here with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chad Spate.
Thanks, Chad.
Chad's Design Build, the name sponsor of the For Love of Democracy Tour 2024. Started in Des Moines. Next up, Vegas, baby. Thank you, Chad. Come back. More Devil's Advocates.
Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
Civic Media News, I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. Now that school is back on, Wisconsin health officials are urging families to look out for signs their teenagers may be self-harming. The Department of Health Services says rates of self-harm went up by 40% after winter break a year ago. Kids in Wisconsin would have to take a half credit of civics in order to graduate from high school under a bill in the legislature. Representative Amanda Dedweski says she's surprised by how many people don't know how government works.
People don't even know what the county board is. They often don't know at all, as you all know, who their legislator is. It's becoming more and more apparent that we have a misunderstanding of how things work.
The bill got a hearing in the Assembly Education Committee yesterday. I'm Terry Bell, Civic Media News. Now here's what you need to know closer to home.
For WMDX News, I'm Nate Weggehout. A proposed new neighborhood in Middleton would rely almost entirely on renewable energy. It would be the first full neighborhood to rely on renewable energy in Dane County. The neighborhood would include 150 single-family homes and over 700 apartments. It would utilize geothermal energy for heating and cooling and rooftop solar panels for other electrical needs. The project is set to be completed over the next 7 to 8 years. Dane County Fair organizers announced yesterday that the search is on for the 2024 Dane County Fairest of the Fair. The Fairest of the Fair is the official ambassador of the Dane County Fair, representing them at events throughout the state. Young adults aged 18 and older are encouraged to apply. Applicants should have strong ties to Dane County, have strong communication skills, and be outgoing. Applications close on March 8th, and a winner will be publicly crowned in June. And that's what you need to know. I'm Nate Wuggyhout, WMDX News.
This is Chad Spate for Chad's Design Build. We're proud to employ some of the best carpenters and remodeling professionals in our industry. Are you honest and hardworking? Do you love to improve people's lives by improving their homes? Chad's Design Build offers excellent compensation and benefits focused on outstanding customer service, professional design, construction management, and craftsmanship, all in a nurturing, positive workplace. Whether you're thinking about remodeling your home or considering joining our team, go to chadsdesignbuild.com to learn more.
Giannis out for the Bucks. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Bucks in Cleveland, and before the game, it was decided Giannis Antetokounmpo would sit out due to a bruised and sore right shoulder. Milwaukee got clobbered by the Cavaliers, 135-95. Head coach Adrian Griffin after the loss.
I think when we didn't execute on the offensive end, it's a very, very good defensive team. And when you play a team like this on the road, you come in here, you got to execute.
The Bucks are in Detroit on Saturday. The Golden State Warriors mourning the loss of assistant coach Delon Milojevic, who suffered a massive heart attack during a team dinner. Milojevic, just 46 years old. NFL, Green Bay plays the 49ers Saturday night at Levi Stadium. Now, the Packers lost in the playoffs to San Fran 4 times, while Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback. How about Jordan Love?
It's a great challenge for us. They're a really good defense. They got a really good offense as well, so they're a great team all around. We definitely got a great challenge ahead of us, and we're looking forward to it.
That's Packers quarterback Jordan Love. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Some snow showers around tonight, cloudy and breezy, wind chills to 15 below, a low of 2 above. And mostly cloudy for tomorrow, high near 10 above. Sun's back into Saturday, high in the low teens, upper teens as we look into Sunday, 30s with some snow late Monday. Currently, it's 10 above.
Darcy Haber, I hear you have solar panels on your office building. Since when are real estate brokers so concerned about the environment?
Crute, you should know that at Solidarity Realty, we provide outstanding real estate service while adhering to our core progressive values. Environmental sustainability is a big part of that.
So you really walk your talk, huh?
Yeah, even walk to work.
Come on, always?
Well, sometimes I bike, and if I have an appointment across town, I use my solar panels to charge my plug-in.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, and they're honest. Check them out at solidarityrealty.com.
Your home for the Devil's Advocates with Dom and Crute. Weekday.
Kicking ass and taking names since the Wisconsin Uprising. The Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Always love you, our audience. You can always play a part. 844-967-2789. Also love the support of our fine sponsor partner, Chad Spate from Chad's Design Build, the namesake of the For the Love of Democracy Tour 2024, coming to a town near you. At least if you live near Vegas. I'm going to Vegas, baby.
Go to Reno, man. Reno 911 at 844-967-2789. Callers, be patient. We'll get to you shortly.
How long a drive would that be? Because I did drive
Probably
around
a couple hours.
Arizona
I don't recall. I'd have to look it up.
Have you done the drive?
No.
Is it a mountainous drive? Are there mountains
I haven't.
between? Well, you never know. You get out in the desert Southwest, there are mountains that just kind of rise up. I don't like driving through the mountains.
Reno is about 438 miles from Las Vegas.
If I'm going to make that in 2 hours, I'm going to be driving your Lamborghini.
That is almost a 7-hour drive, given the mountains. Certainly appreciate Chad
The
coming.
mountains. I won't be going to Reno.
Thank you, Chad, for your support and your sponsorship. Chad's a good cat. Check him out. Chad's Design Built. The love, and it is. I appreciate the ideal, man. The hopey changey, to rise above. I get all that, and I want to be that. I try that. Sometimes I fail. But I love the love, man. Who doesn't love the love? But I'm also cognizant that we can be.
I'm just laughing at the premise that you've tried. You haven't tried as hard as you could.
You can love and still be critical. I mean, you would know this if anybody has children. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? It's just because you criticize, just because there's an issue, doesn't mean there's not an underlying love there, man. So
sometimes we are most critical of the ones we love.
Isn't
I love
that
you, man?
I love you too, man. Now let me tell you why you're wrong. 844-967-2789. Let's get some callers in on this Friday Eve. Mike from Spring Green, you're up. Welcome, Mike. What do you got for us?
Yeah, Michael.
Hey, you were talking about the love and then a little earlier about the name calling. And I try, I've got friends on both sides of the aisle, and we mostly just don't talk about it, and then we don't have arguments. But I've got this one guy who constantly refers to me as a libtard, and just in normal conversation, and he just thinks that's funny. But when I finally called him a Trumpanzee, he just got all upset.
Trumpanzee? I like that one.
Yeah, that's a friend of mine came up with that, Trumpanzee. I like it too. And I just thought, well, he was being funny and casual with me, so I said it to him, and then he got just all offended. So why is it different? Why can he call me that and I can't call him that? What makes that okay?
Mike, I am a bit of a name-calling ballbuster in real life. I like to pick little whatevers, nits with people, especially Dom, because he's quite little. But, I think it's part of the discourse, as long as you can do it with a smile on your face. When it inspires something other than a little guffaw in response. I mean, if someone says something funny about me, but you got to go a little deeper than libtard. You know what I mean, Mike?
Well, yeah, but the fact is, I don't even do it at all. I just keep my mouth shut. If we talk about politics, I try to be respectful, whether I agree or not. But then it's okay. I've got several Trumpanzee friends who just seem to feel like it's okay to say anything they want, and we should be able to not just, have it roll off our backs. But then when we say something, they get all butthurt about it. That's what I've observed.
Right. Some people hate that term, but it's one of my favorites, butthurt.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate the call and comments. 844-967-2789. We can always do a little better. We can always try a little harder. I'll resolve to do that as best I can. We'll see what happens.
Fortunately, Dom hardly ever gets butthurt. Hardly
at all. Mark from the Sac, you are next. Welcome. Happy Friday Eve, Mark. What do you got for us?
Hey, Mark.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Yeah, it's a little hard to put the hatred aside because I feel that bubbling up in me a lot of times. I realize that's beneath me to feel like that, but I mean, it just is.
Have you tried prayer, Mark? I know it works for Dom.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and actually, I do kind of say a little prayer, ask for forgiveness, for the cosmos, for thinking some of the harsh thoughts, I think. But I mean, these people have, they wrap themselves in the Bible, yet they ignore, the whole message of what we're supposed to think about for, that Jesus' moral teachings as far as how we're supposed to treat our fellow man, and they completely ignore it. I mean, it is just, but then every time, as the previous caller said, when you say something back to them, they get all butthurt and they object to it, and it is just it's just sad that the level of discourse has come to this, because these people are actually promoting death when they say they avoid. Now they're passing legislation in Florida that vaccines are going to be more or less illegal. That it's going to be harder to get vaccines, and that's the pattern they want to choose for the rest of the country. And I'm going, my God, when I was a kid, we were, in the history class, we were talking, we had just conquered polio, we had just conquered smallpox, we're looking forward to more of future vaccines to prevent other diseases and it seems like they're trying to set back science, and that it's going back to the days of when the the church was actually, suppressing science. I mean, is what it feels like, and that it's just remarkably sad. That when you think about.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, Mark. It's when you say that, all I can think about is heliocentric versus geocentric. And it's just it is certainly frustrating. But here's the other side of that, right? The love versus the hate. It takes so much energy to hate. You know what I mean? It sucks literally the life out of you when you have that much
keeps
hate.
Me
When you
passionate.
no, come on, man. Yeah, to go what? To go ransack the Capitol?
Well, I haven't ever undertaken ransacking of a Capitol because I would find that insurrectionist in action, Dom. But you know how I am. I'd like to think every morning I wake up with a smile on my face, and then something wrecks it.
you like that. I think, Crute, you entertain the slight irritation of all things. You know what I mean? That's you're a little wound up, you're a little ground up, and you're ready to rock and roll, man. It inspires you to some degree. It's your muse.
Absolutely, that's what I'm telling you. How could I not want that sort of passion in my life? If you haven't had an argument with someone today, you're not trying. if not with a stranger or a friend or a family member, with another driver on the road, whether they know they're in that argument or not, just from the west side to downtown here to do the show, I had like 4 arguments on the drive over.
I mean, Robbins Racing, Crute, you are a terrible driver.
I mean, was close today to hitting someone in front of me without hitting them is I think I've ever gotten away with without actually
running them off the road.
Couldn't have been more than 3 to 4 inches between our 2 cars. And
wait, don't you criticize me when I'm driving for tailgating in the Hammer Lane when someone decides they're going fast enough for everybody?
I don't know if you've recently driven on the near west side roads. They're glazed ice. And this person driving from west to east, from the west side to the downtown region of Madison on University Avenue, came to the sudden realization that if you stop suddenly on ice, you can't, you're going to slide a little bit or whatever.
Yeah.
So in this sudden realization, they decided they must panic stop about every 50 yards. But you're in freaking traffic, people. So I'm having this conversation, this dialogue with this person that continually
with yourself, because you're yelling at yourself
in the braking in front of me to the point where I slid to within 4 inches of their Subaru.
Mad, bro?
That's a little bit mad. I didn't wake up mad. I woke up happy.
Yeah.
And I had to drive. Could be anything in life, really. Anything. You know me, Dom. Could be anything.
Uh-huh.
Sun's too shiny.
But you don't have hate in your heart. You're just your irritation. Things irritate you.
I'm just a grumpy old man at this stage of my life.
Pretty much.
Kids, get off my grass.
That's right.
There's a lot of that. There's some grumpy in my soul.
That's okay.
I'll readily admit
I mean, at this age, you're allowed to be a little grumpy, man.
I would say, as a confession, and I mean this in all sincerity, I worry less about hate because I'm not a hateful person. I worry more about my moments of indifference when I see something and I don't react to it in the way I should. And, it's funny. We passed a car the other night and someone driving a Tesla stuck in the snow. And they were trying to push him back out of the neighborhood. And there was one person in the front and they were not having a lot of success. And I got at least one kid in the car. Somebody was in the car with me. He probably didn't have gloves or a hat or whatever. And I drove by and I'm like, what little effort it would have taken to help that person. So the next time I'm on the road, I see another person stuck on the median. And this is over, lo and behold, on University Avenue, over by Felly's Flowers on University, where it's very glazy and very icy. And I couldn't safely get out to the median because people wouldn't slow down. Like, there was no way I could rock this car off the median. People would have just taken me out. So I just did the math and I looked and I just thought, you're screwed because I can't help you. I'm not going to die to help a stranger get off the median. But, at least they had good intentions.
You wanted to. Well, Curdy, the opposite of love is not hate, right? It is indifference. It's apathy, right?
I feel that way towards you sometimes. Apathetic.
Oh, you love me. 844-967-2789. We love you. Lee from Yuba, Wisconsin. Welcome, Lee. What do you got for us?
Hey, Lee, where's Yuba? How you listening to us?
Well, Yuba's north of Richland Center.
All right on, man.
WRCE, maybe. But
yeah.
What do you think, Lee?
Well, I'd like to get back to your conversation from previously, but the opposite of love is not hate; it's fear. And I think fear is something that a lot of people have been taught to do. I mean, the opposite of love is hate and fear, and fear of the unknown. And people like to create fear for everybody, and that's where these clowns are coming from. I think Trump, being the bully that he is, loves to name call everybody and everything, and you can hear him everything. And these people, one of your callers before had talked about friends of libtards. Yeah, good. I'm proud to be one. What are you? Anyways, you just can't deal with these people because they're so immature and so uninformed and just weird.
But Lee, if the name doesn't fit, man, here's the thing that's never bothered me: someone calling me a name. I mean, it just doesn't hurt. It never. I mean, occasionally Dom will call me fat, and I think that's unmerited. But I just, how hurt am I going to be, Lee? I could skip a few meals and Dom will always be short, but
I can wear lifts, Lee.
Yeah, you got to get some of those stacked shoes like the guy from Florida does.
Yeah, that Ron DeSanctimonious, as Trump likes to call him. Lee, here's something we had one of our fine sponsors in, Chad from Chad's Design Build, and I used to. Oh, do you have? Chad's a hell of a nice guy.
He's a wonderful guy. Yes.
Lee, thanks for listening, man. Glad to know we got at least one fan in Yuba. I did business for a long time. Long time. Sales, a lot of retail commerce, and I was a fiduciary. I would act and I would manage other people's properties for them. And, this is a pretty substantial decision, who's going to manage my real estate for me. And you know what no one ever asked me in all the years I did that job? What's your politics?
And who'd you vote for? Where'd you go to school?
Well, none of my clients ever asked, right? Because that ain't getting me the job. University of Wisconsin lacrosse goes.
Yeah, baby.
I can't believe my poor son has decided to go as a legacy. I expected a little more. It's a fine school for most people. Not when I went there. The whole Joe Gal thing's kind of taken off.
It got better since we left.
101.7 WMDX.
I'm Scott, the owner of Solid Fire Pits. When I began welding my custom-made fire pits for friends and family, I shared them on TikTok because I was just so proud of them. Check it out. That's beautiful. I posted every new fire pit design, and more people kept ordering, from 26 states and counting. Then on my birthday, I had my best sales ever. Now how can the universe beat that?
Solid Fire Pits is just one of the 5 million U.S. businesses that rely on TikTok every day. TikTok sparks business.
Valentine's Day is here. This year, give the ultimate gift. Name a star after your sweetheart. This is Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For 45 years, we've named millions of stars for celebrities, dignitaries, and individuals worldwide. For $59 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, you can give the most memorable gift. The star your name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Visit starregistry.com or call 800-282.
The Devil's Advocates, political commentary from the back of the class.
Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. You can join us on the lines at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, apparently a funding crisis keeping the government open, it's been averted. But no thanks to the Wisconsin Republican congressional delegation. New news from the Journal Sentinel. Apparently they were opposed. Wanted to shut down the government.
Shut it down.
Wisconsin Republicans vote no, but Congress passes short-term fix to avert a partial shutdown. It would have happened, tomorrow night at midnight. The government would have started shutting down. Wisconsin Republicans on Capitol Hill all opposed a stopgap measure Thursday to keep the federal government open. They all opposed it. That's 6 out of 8 Congress people in the state of Wisconsin. If you break that down, that's 3 out of 4. 75% of all the Congress people in the state of Wisconsin, all Republicans, every one of them voted to let the government shut down.
We spoke about this yesterday. Are there 75% of the population in the state of Wisconsin that are Republican?
No. New lawsuit trying to change that through a change in the congressional district.
The Elias law firm, yes.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. Dom, this bill, this fund the government bill, the very basics of governance, which all 6 of Wisconsin's Republican congressional delegation voted against doing. We're done governing. Shut her down. The bill, which extends the federal funding deadlines to March 1st and March 8th, passed the House 314 to 108. So 6 of the 108 Congress people in the entire United States, the most extreme, shut it down Congress people, are all from the great state of Wisconsin. Let's name them by name. That's Brian Stile. That's Mike Gallagher. That's Glenn Grothman. That's Scotty Fitzgerald. That's your insurrectionist buddy, Derek Van Orden. And, of course, the ever toxic Tom Tiffany. Are you kidding me, fellas? Are you kidding me? Shut it down, Dom. Shut it down. That's what, that's what really grinds my gears. This sort of behavior, this jackassery from these congressional people. Your only job is to keep the government running. Literally, that's the biggest part of your job. That's why we, the taxpayers, hire you and pay you. And even if the districts are gerrymandered, you're still there representing Wisconsin and the entire nation. And when you vote to shut down the government, you ain't doing your job very well. Just saying. For no good reason.
These are the same Republicans. We're spending too much money. Of course, never mind what the Republicans have done specifically under, for instance, Donald Trump spent a lot of money. Granted, it was a pandemic. A lot of Democrats are down for that relief as well. But you look at the tax cuts over the last 40 years, the George Bush tax cuts, the Reagan tax cuts, the Trump tax cuts. And yeah, we have trillions and trillions of dollars in debt. What do we got? $34 trillion in debt. Well, how much of that was added because of those tax cuts? There's 2 sides of the equation. There's revenue and there's spending. And when you go through and you slam through, tax cuts for the wealthy to the tune of what, 10, 15 trillion dollars over the course of 20 or 30 years or 40 years, the interest on that starts to add up as well. How about just rescinding that? You want to work on, balancing the government, start charging the rich a little bit more. You know what I'm saying, Republicans? How about the revenue side?
How about the collection of the revenue side?
Right.
Because
hey, I'd rather owe it to you forever than never pay you, IRS.
But realize it's not the average mom and pop on the street that owes this money to the IRS, Dom. It is far more likely to be a wealthy person. Because guess what? The tax man grabs it out of your paycheck, dude. You don't get to decide whether or not you're paying your taxes, not as a working stiff. But every time the Biden administration tries to fund the IRS and give them the resources to go after the tax cheats. And who would be supportive of the tax cheats? Oh, yeah. The soon-to-be nominee for the Republican Party. Because only the suckers pay taxes. And that's why he's going through a fraud trial. Right? Because he doesn't like paying the taxes. Well, I guess that's more about the fraudulent representation. The Pulitzer Prize-winning 2017 journalism from the New York Times, that showed that he was a tremendous tax cheat.
A little bit on this. IRS, this is from 6 days ago, the AP. IRS says it collected $360 million more from rich tax cheats as its funding is threatened yet again.
You can't make me pay. You can't make me pay.
And if you try to, we'll get our we'll have our congressional, people we donate to that do our bidding. We'll try to kneecap you so you don't have the ability, the resources to go after people like, rich tax cheats.
And those that cheat through the buying of a U.S. senator. I remember when Ron Johnson came on our show back in 2017, Dom, telling me, hey, Crute, I got tax cuts for us. He was an instrumental part of the Trump tax cuts, and that he personally lobbied and became the intransigent singular senator that lobbied for some designated S tax cuts. That's for, small business owners, right? That's what they're supposed to be for. Designated S, that's pass-through income. So if I'm a designated S, LLC, small business, then I pay the taxation on my personal income taxes. Flows through that profit after I've written off all the possible business expenses and drinks with Dom at the bar, after I've taken all my write-offs, Jerry. Then it passes through and I got to pay personal income taxes.
Yes. Your income tax rates are on a personal basis on those pass-throughs. But that got changed, Crute.
Well, Ron Johnson made sure it did, because guys like me, and at the time I was a designated S corporation, and so was he claimed. But what he failed to mention is, so is the widow Hendricks, and so are the U lines. And so I might have gotten some, small fractional benefit from this tax savings, Dom, but nothing compared to the U lines in the widow Hendricks. Now, they had given through, and we recently celebrated the anniversary of Citizens United, that ruling, Dom, which opened up the floodgates to the dark money spending. Where a rich guy he can max out to a senator at like $2,700 per cycle. That's not a lot of money. That's not going to change Ron Johnson's mind. But you can give millions to a super PAC, and that's what they did. $21 million to the benefit of Ron Johnson through the corrupted use of campaign finance laws. Thank you, Citizens United. And Ron Johnson returned the favor to the tune of about $218 million in one tax year, 2018, for two families.
Hey, a 10% finder's fee, Crute.
And the widows Hendricks.
That's worth it all day long.
They kicked 10% back to the senator through his super PAC. What a sweet deal for Ron. It's a happier happy hour. Stick around for it. Join us, 844-96-PARTY.
Plastic Pink Flamingo. This is Mad Radio 92.7 WMDX. This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
Hey, Brad from Zero Res Madison here. What's the best way to clean your carpet? Well, not surprisingly, it's the same way you clean your clothes. You wouldn't clean a dirty shirt by running a white cloth over the top of it, nor would you try to get it clean by sprinkling chemicals and rubbing it in. For a real clean, you need hot water, agitation, and a cleaning agent, just like your laundry. For a fresh, healthy clean with no residue, call Zero Res Madison or schedule online. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
You're listening to Mad Radio, WMDX 1580 AM Columbus, W224EG Madison, and always streaming on the Civic Media app.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Congress passed a short-term funding bill that will avert a government shutdown. The deadline was tomorrow. It funds the government until early March. The House vote moments ago.
On this vote, the yeas are 314, the nays are 108. Two-thirds being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended, and the Senate amendment is agreed to.
House Speaker Mike Johnson resisted pressure from conservative Republicans to add U.S. border amendment to the funding bill. The measure now heads to the president's desk for him to sign. Hunter Biden agreeing to appear before GOP House investigators on February 28th. He'll answer questions about his business dealings and whether his father, President Biden, benefited from those businesses, charges the Bidens deny. In Texas, a federal probe into the actions of law enforcement's response to the 2022 Uvalde school shooting finds critical failures from leadership and tactics to training. The gunman killed 19 children and 2 teachers. This is ABC News.
Civic Media News. I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. 10% of Wisconsin teenagers tried to commit suicide last year. Teenagers tell surveys they're anxious about social media, school, climate change, guns, and politics. Linda Hall is with the Wisconsin Office of Children's Mental Health. She says there is a silver lining.
The good news is that kids are talking about mental health. They're not afraid to say that they're anxious. They're not afraid to reach out for help. They're not afraid to support each other.
Hall says more than 300 schools around Wisconsin have student-led mental health programs. Reproductive rights will be the topic when Vice President Kamala Harris visits West Bend on Monday. Her remarks come on the 51st anniversary of the Roe v. Wade Supreme Court ruling that legalized abortion. I'm Terry Bell, Civic Media News. Now, here's what you need to know closer to home.
For WMDX News, I'm Nate Weggehout. A Madison-based video game studio is cutting 125 jobs. Lost Boys Interactive, which has worked on games like Diablo 4, says that the layoffs are to cope with headwinds facing the entire industry. In 2022, the company was considered one of the fastest growing in the nation and the 3rd fastest growing in Wisconsin. Layoffs are expected to begin in March. Workers at the studio are based remotely across all of South Central Wisconsin. The Silver Dollar Tavern in downtown Madison will serve its last drink on February 3rd, but it will live on in the new Wisconsin Historical Society's History Center. The Silver Dollar is the oldest bar in Madison, first opening in 1933. They say they've donated their iconic neon signs, mahogany wood bar, and other memorabilia to the Historical Society. They will be featured in the new Historical Center, which is set to open in downtown Madison in 2027. And that's what you need to know. I'm Nate Weggehout, WMDX News.
This is Chad Spate. Sometimes I'm overwhelmed by the hatred and misinformation that consumes our world, but I also know that we cannot build a house of justice and inclusion on a foundation of hatred and lies. We have to practice what we preach. At Chad's Design Build, we confront injustice the same way we confront a poorly built home, with love, compassion, intelligence, and persistence. We engage our community the way we engage our clients, with honesty and humility and the dogged determination that we can do better. Chad's Design Build, remodeling done well with love.
The Packers back at practice. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Green Bay getting ready for their divisional playoff game against the 49ers. What makes San Francisco's defense so tough? I asked Packers right guard John Runyon.
This San Francisco defense, they don't do as much as any other defense we play this year. They're going to play their gap. They're going to be sound. They know where they're going to fit in their scheme, and it's going to be up to us to take them out of positions, mess with their eyes and stuff like that. And they have a good defense, and they play hard, and they've been doing it for a long time, and that's what makes them so good on defense.
The kickoff Saturday night at 7:15. NBA, the Bucks got blown out by Cleveland. The Cavaliers jumping out to an early lead. They won 135-95. Adrian Griffin on what he told the team after losing by 40 points.
I just talked to the team after the game about we have to learn from this. You have to. You can't continue to make these type of mental errors when especially the start of the game.
That's Bucks head coach Adrian Griffin. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Some snow showers around tonight, cloudy and breezy, wind chills to 15 below, a low of 2 above. And mostly cloudy for tomorrow, high near 10 above. Sun's back into Saturday, high in the low teens, upper teens as we look into Sunday, 30s with some snow late Monday. Currently, it's 10 above.
Hi, I'm Mike Crute, and I've signed my share of commercial real estate leases. In Madison, I highly recommend Jeff Jansen from Alta's Commercial Real Estate. Jeff guided me to my first radio station location on the west side. He helped us move to University Ave, and eventually Jeff set up the lease on the Civic Media World headquarters. No one works harder to provide options in commercial leasing. Call Jeff Jansen and his team at Altus Commercial Real Estate at 608-338-1101.
Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us. You're listening. The Devil's Advocates radio show is broadcast under a time brokerage agreement between Devil Radio and Civic Media, Inc. Some portions of this program may be pre-recorded. Warning, you're about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the Civic Media Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
And now, here's your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show, the Thursday edition. That makes it Friday Eve up in here, a happier happy hour. And it's always happier with your participation. 844-967-2789. Dom, I had every good intention. And what they say about the road to hell paved with good intentions, every good intention of bringing you some good Joe Biden news. In fact, I Googled it. I put the good news about Joe Biden. I put it into the Google machine, and I waited for, the goodest news, the newest news about Joe Biden. The only good news for Joe Biden, according to this, my algorithmic Google search time.
I don't want to know about your search history, Crudy.
I'll leave out the Asian girls. But it effectively paired Trump's quote-unquote strong victory in Iowa and the fact that he's sort of cast as the Republican nominee, that is good news for Joe Biden. It's got nothing to do with Joe Biden other than the fact, horse race politics. So I didn't think, and we probably even talked about that. It sort of cements the status. Joe is the Democrats guy and Trump's going to be the guy for the Republicans. So that's air quotes good news for Joe. The prior best news for Joe, Dateline November. Joe Biden hasn't had any good news in going on 2 months, Tom. Nothing since before Thanksgiving.
I mean,
if some turkeys.
Is that the
was
criteria?
good news for the turkeys, at least.
I mean, so what if you went to the White House? I bet you could find a press release of Joe Biden telling you all about how Joe Biden's doing a great job.
I would hope so. But here is one thing I will say in my defense. I also want to lift up the vice president. The vice president's coming to Wisconsin on Monday. The beginning of her national tour. The beginning of her national tour. Kamala Harris coming to Wisconsin. Where?
Where?
Can't tell you.
Oh, okay.
Cannot tell you. I assume Milwaukee, but I can't tell you for sure because I've seen no media updates. They don't tell us where she's launching her national campaign, just that it's in the so important state of Wisconsin. And the anniversary of Roe v. Wade. So you think they would want to amplify this event, right, Dom? And here I am. I'd love to amplify it for them. But I cannot find any current information, which gives me a venue, place to seek credentials. I mean, should I go chase the vice president? Maybe if she's in Milwaukee, but I'm not going up
Monday,
on Monday.
This coming Monday, the vice president is coming to Wisconsin. And we don't know where or what.
We have
any
no
of that.
press updates. It is the Reproductive Freedom Tour, a national tour. She's basically going on the campaign trail, starting in Wisconsin. And I have zero updates for our audience at this time. So if you're with the Biden-Harris campaign, feel free to update us. Love to get that update out to the people. I would call that good news, Dom, if I could just update the people. The vice president also coming to the great state of Wisconsin. I called Earl. I said, have you heard Earl? He said, they haven't called me yet. They haven't called Earl. They haven't called any of us down.
The initial announcement was back on December 20th. I found it here at the Madison.com that the vice president is coming to Wisconsin, and I haven't seen an update on the interwebs since then.
Buddy, I saw Biden Harris earlier today that said, we're coming to Wisconsin, that Kamala is coming to Wisconsin on Monday. It didn't tell me where. I live here. I would go to that event. Probably. If it's not too early and it's not too cold. I hear the weather's going to be nicer next week. Won't seem like such an imposition. But hell, man, if I'm going to Iowa for a Republican GOP debate, I would certainly show up for our vice president. If they'd only tell me when and where.
So, where does the fault lie here, Crute? Is it the mainstream media? Is it the media? Is it, our Google searching that it isn't specific enough, or the algorithms? Is Joe Biden and Kamala Harris not providing the specific information? Who do you turn to for blame in this situation?
Well, I often blame you, Dom, but I would say more.
It's not my fault,
more
man.
the broader media, not specifically you as a media member, Dom. But you can't tell me there's no good administrative news or good news for this administration, the Biden administration, since before Thanksgiving. It shouldn't be so hard. I shouldn't have to go multiple pages deep in a Google search to find anything resembling positive press for the president.
Now, okay. Now here's another one. Have you tried bad news about Joe Biden?
Don't have to. No, I didn't have to bother. I've seen that all the time. Fox News leads with it every night, right?
But you have to consider the source. But this is my thing. So are you looking at, because Fox News is going to have their angle on it. MSNBC will have theirs, and CNN and the Devil's Advocates. Everyone's got their own take on it. So where does it have to be delivered to you, man? Can you just go to the Twitter feed of the president and have him tell you what it's all about? What are you looking for? How do you want it delivered to you?
Well, I'd prefer it from someone else's journalism. But I am the only one I know today that's here to deliver for you, Dom, and this fair audience, good news that the Biden administration should point towards and say, that's why you vote for me. The Department of Workforce Development, the DWD, today released the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS, jobs totals for December, Dom, which showed the great state of Wisconsin. Total non-farm jobs hit a record high of over 3,026,500 jobs this month. The total, about 43,000 jobs more than a year ago, and an increase of 4,800 jobs over the previous month. Scott Walker would have, he would have gone to bed happy that night. If he ever would have had a jobs report this positive, Dom, this is the best jobs report in Wisconsin's history, effectively. Do you think we'll hear news of this? Perhaps a dutiful press will write up the statistics and throw it in the 12th page of the paper on Sunday. But that's damn good news, both for Tony Evers, state of Wisconsin, he's the governor here, and for Joe Biden, who needs desperately to win this state if he wants to win re-election. If he didn't win Wisconsin, it is all over but the crying. So our state matters a hell of a lot. And there's some good news for you. But if I Google it on Monday, do you think this will be linked in any way, shape, or form as a positive of the Biden administration? Just asking. 844-967-2789. Let's get to some callers, old and new. Mike from Green Bay. Welcome, Mike. What do you got for us?
Hi, Mike.
Hi, guys. First of all, I just want to say I love your show, and thanks for what you do.
You have excellent taste, Michael.
All right. Thank you very much. So here's something I just want to say, and I don't want to get worked up or anything, and I don't want to get on one side or anything. I just want to say this. It's difficult to argue or debate with someone that doesn't understand the difference between an opinion and having an opinion about a fact. And my point, I'll use this as an example. If somebody said, what's your opinion of stop signs? And they said, I believe, my opinion is that they're triangle and they're blue. you'd say, wait a minute, no, I mean your opinion. Like, do you think there's too many of them or that kind of thing? And they said, well, no, my opinion is they're blue and they're triangle. That's my opinion, and I'm entitled to it. You can't argue with that person because they now don't understand what it means to have an opinion. They want to argue with you about a fact. So that person who says, the people who say, the Trump supporters that say, January 6th was a polite tourism and nothing really happened, or, a stolen election or any of that stuff, to me, they're either delusional or they have some sort of special needs, thing wrong with them.
But Mike, is it possible that they participated, or they have friends that do, or they're sympathetic to those who did, and they don't want to look in the mirror and say, I am guilty of an insurrection?
Yeah, I just don't think they understand what it means to have an opinion. Like I said, anytime somebody says that, to me, that's the same as saying, my opinion of stop signs is they're triangle and they're blue. And that's not an opinion.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's not an opinion. So that's why I struggle with people, because they really don't seem to understand what it means to have an opinion about something. So that's kind of where I'm at with the whole thing. And I think Biden's doing just great. I don't think he needs to do anything because Trump will self-destruct long before this election happens. And, when that happens, everybody, you need to watch Get Gotti. There's almost word for word the way people reacted to Gotti, John Gotti. Loyalty was the big thing he used. That was his big word. And everybody was upset when he went to prison. There were people rioting in the streets because they knew he was a killer, and they rioted in the streets because they thought he was a good guy. There were Hollywood movie stars that came forward and said, I think he's a great guy. If you watch Get Gotti, you will see the same human behavior that Trump supporters have today.
Mike, really appreciate your call, and there are some stacking up, so we're going to move on. But, I would just like to say I'm waiting for Trump to act just a little more presidential. I think it's time.
he's gonna grow into the position, Crute. And thank you for the call, Mike. Certainly, and I don't disagree. The opinion thing, opinions are like elbows. Everyone's got one. You know what I mean? But waiting for Trump to self-destruct is kind of like waiting for Hyman Roth to die of the heart attack. Hyman Roth was dying of the same heart attack for 30 years, right? Godfather movies. Eventually, perhaps he will self-destruct, and perhaps the Justice Department will help usher that along. But I would also say this: if you write the number 6 in the ground, and you're facing somebody, to them it looks like a number 9, and to you it's a number 6, and you're both right. You know what I mean? So there are some issues, some times where we have to be a little more flexible in it. Look at it from their eyes, because if you're on the other side of that 6, it certainly does look like a 9, and that's not an opinion. That's a fact.
Flexible? You can't touch your toes, man.
I can totally touch. Are you kidding me? I can absolutely touch my toes. You can't touch your toes, man.
I actually struggle mightily to touch. It's because of my super masculine.
Can you put socks on while you stand up, or you have to sit down?
Who would want to put socks on while they stood up? That's a tripping hazard. Come back. More Devil's Advocates. Safety first. 844-967-2789.
Radio 92.7 WMDX.
Partner now with the greatest radio show ever.
Just a heads up, Harris will be in West Bend. West Bend. I'm getting this from our own newscast that played at 5 o'clock.
Civic Media, Fred and Civic Media newscast. Tell you when your messages are working and put cash in your register. So invest your ad dollars to reach our raving Madison and Dane County fans, or affordably reach the whole state, Chicago, Minneapolis, and our nationwide stream audience today. The Devil's Advocates can be the voice of your business, hold special events at your location, interview your staff for satisfied customers to lift your business. Contact us today, Crute at darnwi.com. That's Crute at darnwi.com.
Fear you may be missing out? We're always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app. Enjoy listening live or catch up by finding the podcast at civicmedia.us or wherever you enjoy listening to your podcast.
I'm too sexy for my love, too sexy for my love, love's going to leave me.
60% of the time, they're right every time. The Devil's Advocates.
Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. You can join us on the lines 844-967-2789.
And Dominic, I have been informed by our fine news-observing producer, Nate Wedgehop. I think that's close. I struggled, Nate.
That's not close.
Nate, say your last name.
Weggyhout.
Oh, that wasn't even close. Wow. Now I'm embarrassed. Not that I embarrass. Maybe you should change it to something easier. More pronounceable.
Nate's fine. Just Nate.
Just producer Nate, newsman Nate announces we know where the vice president's going to be on Monday, West Bend, Wisconsin. And the source of that information, the Civic Media News, played out at 5:00. I had stepped out. So thank you, Nate. Just Nate. Thank you. Wedgie helped.
Close enough.
Still far away. 844-967-2789. Butcher a name since 2012. The Devil's Advocates Radio Show. George from Mount Horeb. Welcome, George. I can do George, so I got that far.
That's an easy one. Hey, George. Hello, George. We got George. We lost George. All right, George, you have to call back, man. 844-967-2789. Judy from Racine. Welcome to the show, Judy. What do you got for us?
Oh, you guys have been having so much fun. But just FYI, today is the 2-year remembrance. I don't know what word is perfect. At 11:30 when Jigme Norton died.
Aw. 2 years, Judy. That's a long time, man. It seems like yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
How you holding up?
I'm just hibernating now. I don't care. But anyway, just wanted to let you know that sure, I love the guy, but he sure put me through hell and back.
Well, we appreciate it, Judy. Thank you for letting us know. 2 years. He was a great dude. We enjoyed meeting him and knowing him back at the Capitol during the protests, and he knew all about the protests. Yeah.
He was a big part of many of the protests. 844-967-2789. Bill from Grant County. Welcome, Bill.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah, I just I appreciate your guys' dialogue and this interesting show is most of the time. I just wonder how the Democrats are going to. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Listening, Bill. We were waiting for the butt. We know there's a butt coming, Bill. So bring us what comes after the butt.
Well, I just wonder how the Democrat Party is going to weasel out of getting rid of a senile old man and a useless vice president. That should be interesting. What do you think they're going to do, in your opinion?
Well, they voted him out of office in 2020. That's what we did.
I think you're referring to Joe Biden. Oh.
Uncle Joe should be in a. It's sad to see him on the world stage. It hurts me.
Come on, man.
Nice guy. He should step down.
Well, that's his choice to make, and that'll be the voters' choice to make ultimately, Bill. And it's hard for me when I compare Bill, his actions as a world leader with those of Donald Trump. Trump bowed down to Putin, dude. How can Helsinki? I watched it in real time. You can't compare any of Joe Biden's actions to the capitulation of Donald Trump to Russia. Russia's not even a real power like they once were. And in fact, he has invaded Ukraine subsequently, Bill. And I blame that as much on Trump as I do on the current president.
He doesn't even know where his Secretary of Defense is for 7 to 10 days. Lloyd Austin.
That is very troubling,
what kind
Bill.
of deal is that?
I have no idea why that would be permissible, and perhaps Lloyd Austin should fall upon his sword, but that doesn't mean Joe Biden should fall on his bill.
Well,
hang on, and Bill, if I may, and I've heard and I've seen clips. Bill, if I may interject here, I've seen lots of social media, lots of reporting, different clips of the asinine things and the wrong-headed things that Donald Trump says. Like he won Iowa. This time he did, but he didn't win it last time around. He says things that are false and wrong. He slurs his words at times. He has trouble speaking. He has trouble, scooting around sometimes, walking around. I mean, I've seen Joe Biden ride a bike. I don't think Donald Trump could ride a bike. So that, so what are we really talking about here, Bill? You're talking about a guy that's a few years older than your guy. You know what I'm saying?
I'd like to see a head-to-head debate on live TV, and the Trumpster would tear him apart.
I would like to see that too, Bill. I think it is incumbent that these candidates face each other in front of the American people.
I'm less clear they're going to.
I'm not clear that they're going to either, but I think it's a good idea.
Well, absolutely. That's the way American governance is supposed to work. The more information you can give to the voters, I don't know why you'd want to hide from the voters like Donald Trump has. Of course, he feels like he's got the electoral advantage in Iowa. He's not showing up in New Hampshire for the debates. I suspect he won't do a South Carolina or Nevada debate. And as soon as he wraps it up, man, I'm not at all clear that he has any intention of debating Joe Biden, unless he thinks it's for the spectacle. 844-967-2789. Ben from Madison. Welcome, Ben. What do you got for us?
Hi, Ben.
Hey, how you doing?
Excellent.
Am I on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hey, we have to stop arguing with these idiots that are calling in, because there's no basis on fact of, especially what you said about the tax cuts. They lower the tax cuts. Excuse me, I'm in my car. And we have a problem now with the fiscal side because of the tax cuts. What we need to do is start talking about raising taxes on the very wealthy, and take back our country, because we need to play hardball. We can't keep playing softy with these people that want to destroy our country.
But Ben, I don't think
that's all I'm going to say.
Ben, appreciate your call, sir. The electoral majority that you would have to accomplish anything from quote unquote the left, to actually do what it would take to start resetting parity, let's just say, between the CEO and the worker. And the only way you do that is really through tax policy. And for years and years and years, beyond a certain point, we would effectively punish you. And I was okay with that. And I don't think anyone went gulp per se. I don't think anyone said, well, if you tax me beyond $3 million a year in earnings, well, then I'm just not going to work anymore. I'm going to take my ball and go home. That's a very small percentage relative to the economy. And you know who's really not paying any taxes? Corporations. They used to pay a third of the taxes this nation used to collect. We're now down to less than 5%. Corporations pay less than 5%. They should be paying more like 30%. You wonder why the rest of us feel burdened, taxed enough already, Bill? You know why? Because corporations aren't paying any. And you want to know who's running out the biggest giveaway? Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce, the manufacturing and ag business credit in the state of Wisconsin is the biggest giveaway, period, in the history of giveaways. Look it up.
For this song.
It's all on your local Civic Media radio station. Or Civic Media.
Civic Media News, I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. More people than ever have a job in Wisconsin. State officials are out with their final numbers for December. The Department of Workforce Development says Wisconsin added more than 2,200 jobs in December. The jobless rate is a near record low 3.3%. Cursive writing could be required to be taught in Wisconsin schools under a bill in the state legislature. The author is Representative Paul Melodic. He says knowing how to write longhand is a benefit to kids.
There's a thought that this is not, it's old-fashioned, it's not something that's needed because nobody writes anymore, so I understand the logic of that, but I don't agree. I think there's beneficial to cursing.
The bill got a hearing in the Assembly Education Committee yesterday. I'm Terry Bell, Civic Media News. Now, here's what you need to know closer to home.
For WMDX News, I'm Nate Wuggyhout. Madison traffic officials are helping students bike home safely this winter by handing out lights and reflectors. With some schools getting out at 4:30, many students are now having to walk or bike home in the dark. Colleen Hayes with Madison Traffic Engineering says she's handed out over 50 lights and reflectors at 5 Madison middle schools. She says that the lights will help them to be easily seen when crossing busy roads. Dane County officials held a ribbon-cutting ceremony yesterday for a new emergency operations center. The new center in Fitchburg will allow staff to rapidly engage with responders and quickly provide assistance to those in need. The new facility has room for over 40 people and has permanent video conferencing capabilities and radio communications. They used to be housed in the Public Safety Building in downtown Madison, but outgrew the space. And that's what you need to know. I'm Nate Wuggyhout, WMDX News.
At Chance Design Build, we provide remodeling done well with love. Our commitments extend beyond our workplace and your home to support our community. We judge people by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin, and we believe all humans deserve quality, publicly funded education, childcare, and health care. But what do you believe in? At Chance Design Build, we believe every person must have the opportunity to thrive. If you're thinking about remodeling your home, go to chancedesignbuild.com to learn more about our commitments to you, your home, and our community.
The Packers back at practice. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Green Bay getting ready for their divisional playoff game against the 49ers. What makes San Francisco's defense so tough? I asked Packers right guard John Runyon.
This San Francisco defense, they don't do as much as any other defense we play this year. They're going to play their gap. They're going to be sound. They know where they're going to fit in their scheme, and it's going to be up to us to take them out of positions, mess with their eyes and stuff like that. And they have a good defense, and they play hard, and they've been doing it for a long time, and that's what makes them so good on defense.
The kickoff Saturday night at 7:15. NBA, the Bucks got blown out by Cleveland. The Cavaliers jumping out to an early lead. They won 135-95. Adrian Griffin on what he told the team after losing by 40 points.
I just talked to this team after the game about we have to learn from this. You have to. You can't continue to make these type of mental errors especially the start of the game.
That's Bucks head coach Adrian Griffin. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Some snow showers around tonight, cloudy and breezy, wind chills to 15 below, a low of 2 above. And mostly cloudy for tomorrow, high near 10 above. Sun's back into Saturday, high in the low teens, upper teens as we look into Sunday, 30s with some snow late Monday. Currently, it's 10 above.
Hey, Dom, how many palindromes can you name in 30 seconds?
Race car, mom, dad, reefer, kayak, level. Did I say mom already?
You're forgetting one really important one.
Zero res.
Not only is it the coolest palindrome ever, it's also our favorite.
Right, I remember. Why is that again?
They advertise with us.
Zero res, my favorite palindrome.
And carpet cleaner.
Get
the best carpet cleaning ever. Schedule your carpet cleaning online at ZeroResMadison.com. Tell them the Devil's Advocate sent you.
Broadcasting from Civic Media Global Headquarters on State Street. This is Mad Radio 90.
The Devil's Advocates, because freedom.
Oh yeah, baby. Like a fool, I went and stayed too long.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Rolling through a happier Thursday happy hour. Dom, there is a conspiracy theory out there about Obama, and it's not the birth certificate this time, and the delegitimizing. And we forget that this happened before there was a rigged election. There was a where's his birth certificate? You remember that effort? Fox News. Donald Trump played a big part.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Dom, there is a conspiracy on the right, and you've seen the people. The end of the world's coming next Thursday. And next Friday comes around, and they're still standing there. Only they've got a sign. The end of the world's coming 3 weeks from next Thursday. They just moved the date out or
We'll
whatever.
we'll get a healthcare bill in 2 weeks. I promise.
But I always like sports. I always like doing sports and watching sports because there's always a game. It defines the outcome. There's a winner and a loser. So you can do all the trash talking you want during the week. And I might do a little bit tomorrow as a lead up to the Packers at the 49ers. I'm less confident this week. But anyways. But Dom, the conspiracy theories. At a certain point, this one's going to crumble. And I've seen this one. I've heard this one on a local level. Joe Clayfish told me this one like 8-9 months ago. Michelle Obama's going to run for president. I'm like, what? I'm like, where'd you make that up? No. Michelle Obama is going to run for president. Okay, Joel. So anyways, I hear it once. Now I hear it all the time. And I don't think Joel started this rumor. I don't think he's that powerful, although I like Joel. But I hear it on the Clay and Buck on national news talk radio. Yesterday, as they're worried that maybe Joe's tricked them into supporting Trump by having Trump indicted, and that makes Trump so
unelectable,
so damn appealing to the right that now they've taken Trump and maybe it's 4-level chess or Plan B, or Michelle Obama's going to step up and become the presidential nominee of the left, of the Democratic Party. And it's on the Fox News Digital right now. Here's the headline on the Foxy News site. Where is it? Michelle Obama could sneak her way into the 2024 presidential race, according to a New York Post column today. No, she can't. No, she won't. This is the most ridiculous conspiracy theory. I mean, we've got some friends from the right that listen occasionally to hear a differing point of view. Joe Biden will be our nominee. If Joe Biden had some health concern, Michelle Obama's not even in the top 100 people that would replace him on the ticket. I think we'd probably start with the vice president. I think that's the
right. I mean, call me crazy, but that's where I would go.
It doesn't go from the president to the last guy's wife. And I appreciate Michelle Obama, a very powerful woman in her own regard, lawyer, not quite prepared to be the president of the United States by virtue of the fact that she lived in the White House. And I think that Hillary Clinton certainly brought more substantial qualifications to the table. It wasn't serving as Bill's first lady that qualified Hillary to be the president. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's not the important part. Oh, she knows the floor plan.
So all right, so fair enough. So how do you what's the point of all this then? Because if you believe, the rumors, you hear the rumors, is it just, well, hey, we hear the rumors, so we're going to put it out there. Hey, Michelle Obama, because you heard it from Clayfish, you heard it from Republicans. This is what they're talking about. Hey, Michelle Obama, because you know what? You're getting clicks. You're talking about it. Yada, 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 right? I mean, so when you hear things like that, just because it's printed doesn't make it worth the read. So what is the point in your mind?
The implausibility of it and the fact that it's like a QAnon theory that's now part of the mainstream media. It's now in the New York Post being rewritten by the Foxy News Digital site. This has become part of their narrative. Joe Biden's going to drop out. Michelle Obama's going to step up and be the Democratic nominee because her husband's probably behind the scenes, pulling.
He's running everything. I mean, let's be honest. The other thing you hear about, and with the unsaid part, at least in this conversation, is that Barack Obama is truly the one running the government. Or I don't know, maybe it's the military forces are going to, overthrow the dictator. I don't know which conspiracy thing to believe, but I'm still wondering what is the motivation for the New York Post and the Foxy Newses to bring this out, because it gets clicks and because we're talking about it right now. Not because it might be true or it's plausible or possible.
I told you once, I'm telling you again. I Googled good news Joe Biden. I'm trying to bring you some. I brought you the jobs report. The unemployment rate in the state of Wisconsin, 3.3. We've had back-to-back best
employment
in the state of Wisconsin's history. I'm trying to bring you some good news.
We got good news. Let's hear some good news. Nate did the hard work. We have some Joe Biden today, don't we not? I think we should play some Joe Biden. He's talking about wages.
Saying sometimes I get caught up in the clickbait like the rest.
You think? Don't get T-bowed, man. Remember the T-bow thing? Don't get T-bowed.
Remember the T-bow thing.
Don't get T-bowed. Don't believe everything you read, even if you want it to be true. Don't believe it. Nate,
Social media wanted desperately for Tebow to have been arrested in that Florida hotel room with a hooker that night, but as fate would have it, that was not true. So we had to clean up the social media. We had to unpost.
Undo. No. President Joe Biden speaking. Was this today, Nate? Where's this from?
This was today. I'm not 100% sure where exactly.
All right. Well, let's hear it, man. Whenever I hear our president talk about wages going up, I love to hear that. Let's hear some good news. We didn't even have to Google it. Just check out the Devil's Advocates. We'll bring it to you. Thank you, Nate. Cut one, please.
Wages are up. Household wealth is up. Not only for middle-class Americans, for Latinos, for Black Americans, for minorities.
More from the president. News. It's good news, man. Bringing you the good news without the Google search. Cut two, please, Nate.
Today, I'm announcing another major step. We're investing another $82 million to connect 16,000 additional homes and businesses, bringing high-speed internet all across the state of North Carolina, from top to bottom.
Got to have that high-speed internet. You want to get along in this world. What about Trump's opinion? Let's hear the president on Trump's failing nation. Cut three.
And now, my predecessors like to say, America is a failing nation. In my faith, bless me, Father, for his sin. I mean, come on.
Bless me, Father. Cut four. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Frankly, to put it very politely, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
No, that may be true. What about the investing? Cut five.
Folks, I'm here today to talk about something that doesn't get enough attention, and that's the progress we're making to invest in America, all of America.
Yeah, lot of investment. That was a big bill. He's going to be talking about it a lot, especially given now we're in the 2024 presidential cycle. Another one from Biden. Cut six, please.
America has, this is a fact, the strongest growth rate of any and the lowest inflation rate of any major economy in the world.
That seems like pretty good news, right? I think these are good news. And they're being told to us by an older guy who's a few years older than the other guy. So, yeah, one old white guy, another old white guy. One white guy, old white guy, tried to overturn the government and stop the peaceful transfer of power to the guy, other older white guy who won the election. So you determine which old white guy you want. I know where I'm at. I told you before. I'll say it again. I don't care if it's weekend at Bernie's. It's Biden, man. Unless, of course, Michelle Obama decides to run.
Well, yeah. Who wouldn't vote for Michelle Obama? 844-967-2789. I'm sorry. I keep furiously looking for more details of the vice president's visit. Went over to WisPolitics, our friends there. They've got more information, which relays me back to a press release, which I had already seen from the Biden-Harris campaign, which says she will be in Wisconsin on Monday to mark the anniversary of Roe v. Wade. And then she, the second husband, Imhoff, and Joe Biden and the president will be in Northern Virginia on Tuesday to mark the occasion. But I am less clear, other than Civic Media reporting West Bend, where she's going to be and if I can go there, Dom, and if I would be welcomed, because lately Trump won't let me in the room. 844-967-2789. I am a political junkie, Dom. I got to be close to the goings on. You know how it goes.
Yeah, I know, man.
Dick from Madison, you're a junkie too, man. Get your fix.
Hey, yeah. Dick.
Well, pretty much. You know, Dom, you and I agree on one thing. I still maintain that this guy is not, Trump, going to be the nominee. But that said, you know, all this stuff
in your conspiracy theory, how does Trump not become the nominee?
It's not a conspiracy theory. Just watch this unhinged kook the last few days.
I
gonna
did.
melt down.
I watched him win Iowa.
Well, that's idiots out walking around. On the 8th day, are you ready for this?
The biblical 8th day, like God created the world in 6, rested on the 7th, and then made Trump on day 8.
They never went this route. And here it is. On the 8th day, God created a liar. He said he'd build a wall and Mexico would pay for it. He didn't. He said he'd give us Cadillac health care. He did not. He said that COVID was over or would be over by Easter of 2020. It wasn't. He said he'd create, and on it goes, inner structure. He stepped in it big with that, or they did, because it's going to be a nonstop onslaught of all the things he didn't do and didn't create for this country.
And all the things that Joe Biden has done. He got that bill through, Dick.
That's correct.
Appreciate your call, Dick. 844-967-2789. Joe from Madison sneaking you in here. Joe, welcome.
Hey, Joe.
Thanks so much. Here's a little bit of good news. Here's something that the Biden administration is pushing forward today, and that is cutting down on overdraft fees, which usually run about 30 to 35 by banks and credit unions. And they're going to be working in tandem with the consumer protection people to basically get what they're going to do is say that you can only charge overdraft rather than being a profit driver. It has to actually just reflect what the cost is for that bank or credit union to process the overdraft. So instead of $35, you'll be looking at $3 or around $3. And it's, I couldn't believe this statistic. Banks can earn or have been earning about $9 billion a year on overdraft fees.
I know, Joe. So my dividend's gonna go down from my bank stock, man. What about us? What about the poor banks?
Well, I guess you'll just have to talk to Mr. Trump, and maybe he can find something for you. For example, when he buys Greenland, maybe there'll be some nice opportunities.
Joe, let me ask you this, though. If people continuously have overdrafts and the bank makes money on them, they continue to give them access to the banking system. If they perhaps took a differing policy and said, third overdraft in a month, in a year, whatever, I'm closing your checking account, that could actually multiply into much higher cost. Are you worried at all that this unintended consequence might make banking less accessible to some consumers who are the sort that bounce checks occasionally?
No, they'll still be making the $3. They'll still be making that, and what they want is to have that money in the account to be able to use. So I'm not worried about that, but it's a real shot in the arm for average Americans rather than the banks. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. And that was always the bitch about it. You don't have enough money in the bank to cover a $50 check, and they're going to charge you $35. There's no getting out of that. Talk about kicking them when you're down. It's a profit a sleeve for the banks. At least it was. Perhaps now it'll just be an operational cost.
I love when you go to the cash machine to get some of your money back, and then you got to give the cash machine some money on top.
Hey, the cash machine's got a family to feed, man. You got little cash machines all over the place. You got the ex-Mrs. Cash Machine that needs her piece. It's a tough world out there, man.
Come back with us. Advocate for Michelle Obama for president if you must. But I don't think that's going to happen. More Devils, your call. That's next.
It was in the Post, though.
967-2789.
WMDX.
Valentine's Day is here. This year, give the ultimate gift. Name a star after your sweetheart. This is Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For 45 years, we've named millions of stars for celebrities, dignitaries, and individuals worldwide. For $59 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, you can give the most memorable gift. The star your name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Visit starregistry.com or call 800-282-3333.
I'm Scott, the owner of Solid Fire Pits. When I began welding my custom-made fire pits for friends and family, I shared them on TikTok because I was just so proud of them. Check it out. That's beautiful. I posted every new fire pit design and more people kept ordering, from 26 states and counting. Then on my birthday, I had my best sales ever. Now, how can the universe beat that?
Solid Fire Pits is just one of the 5 million U.S. businesses that rely on TikTok every day. TikTok's
The Devil's Advocates. Never personal, only politics.
Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, our last segment of the day. If you got something to say, hit us up on the lines right now at 844-967-2789. And make sure you stick around. The Maggie Dawn Show coming up at 6. 844-967-2789. Let's get back to the lines. Who's first here? Looks like Wisco. Paul, you are up. Welcome, Paulie. What do you got?
Hey, Paulie.
Hey, good afternoon, Devils. Hey, Dark Brandon, he's kicking some serious butt here.
Dark Brandon.
Pretty awesome.
But
Yeah,
if you
well,
Google good news, Joe Biden, it's like months old. There's no new good news cooking, although I appreciate Joe bringing us a good news headline. I hope the record unemployment rate in the state of Wisconsin and the highest number of jobs in the history of our state, I think that's all good news. And I think some of that should shine brightly on Joe Biden. But Wisco, you got some good news, man. What can you tell us? Tell us something good.
The Packers are going to win on Saturday night.
Right. That is the greatest driver of the Wisconsin economy. If the Packers continue to play well and somehow manage this big underdog victory on the road again, I mean, this whole state will be rocking and rolling, dude. If we're in the NFC Championship game, completely
Come on, man.
The best sort, Wisco, Paul. We will all love each other, Republicans and Democrats, everyone except Bears fans.
Lions fans, Packers fans, because, of course, Detroit's also playing Detroit at home against Tampa Bay. They are favored by 6.5. Green Bay on the road to San Fran are 9.5-point dogs, Paulie.
I'm cheering for Baker Mayfield.
I think you're going to see Green Bay against the Lions, your team.
That would be fantastic.
We would both be exuberant over that outcome, Paulie. Yeah. And then we would have our own little Devil's Advocates, mano a mano, 2 men enter, 1 team exits with the other guy's cash.
Yeah, that'd be totally awesome, hey? I mean, Detroit actually, I want the Packers to go, but if for some reason they can't, I'm okay with Detroit because they've never been to the
That's
Super
not how
Bowl.
we think around here, Paul.
No, Paul, you're absolutely right. Thank you. I love it, man.
Never the Lions year. Never. You can be like the Cubs every 100 years. You got like 20 more to wait.
Hey, they were world champions before the Super Bowl came out back in the 50s, so don't stop believing, Detroit fans. 844-967-2789. Doogie from Chicago.
Your team was something before electricity.
Yeah. Hey, Doogie, welcome. What do you got for us?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, what's happening?
You're happening.
I don't even know what to expect about this whole election, this whole outcome, and I've been really trying to analyze everything. And, Democrats have some big faults. And, they need the black vote to carry them. And a lot of black folks are really upset with Biden, and they're really upset with the Palestine-Israel thing. And a lot of people are saying that we're just not going to vote if you support either candidate. We're going to stay home. And, of course, that's not a good thing to do. But my other question is, there's two scenarios. If Trump doesn't run, or if he's ousted, then Biden will not run. As far as basically, like Joe Biden is the Biden. So if there's no Trump, then Joe wouldn't run, especially, and he'd hand over the rails.
Yeah, but I'm not clear that at this late hour, let's say Trump is convicted in the January 6th trial, and the Republican Party throws him overboard at the nominating convention in Milwaukee this summer. I don't think suddenly the Democratic Party pulls up stakes on Joe Biden. Had Trump not declared 2 years ago, I think there's a good chance that maybe Biden would have stepped aside. I think you're absolutely right. I think every justification for Joe Biden's candidacy is Donald Trump's candidacy. And I would say these two are caught in some sort of weird cosmic.
Well, I don't know about
death
every
cycle,
justification.
And we, the nation,
I mean, certainly, as
are
we just
looking on
mentioned,
in abject horror.
come on, Crute, Doogie, we just talked about this, man. We talked about the bills that have gone through under President Joe Biden, where the economy's at under President Joe Biden. We can go kind of down that list. And are there pitfalls? Certainly, there's an effort to make some deal on border security. We have some issues going on in the Middle East. We always got issues in the Middle East. So I don't know that it's simply because Joe decided to stay in because Trump is in. I don't know that that's necessarily the case. He's got a record to run on, Doogie. I mean, Joe Biden has a record to run on. As Crute, the underlying issue with Crute today is doing the Google search on good news about Joe Biden, is that there is good news about Joe Biden, but it's not out there readily available and easily distributable, according to a Google search, but we don't know what Crute's search history is like.
Right. No, and that's the thing is that, a lot of people out there is so much anti-Biden rhetoric out there, and he does not have a news network. He doesn't have a platform. He relies on independent stations like you guys and independent networks to push this, and he doesn't get the exposure, even the airtime that Trump ever did. You know what I'm saying? But also,
yeah, no. But also, and I think we need to recognize the fact that Joe Biden is the current acting working president of the United States. And we do have lots of hot spots, lots of issues, lots of things going on. Donald Trump is all he has to worry about is court cases and going out and shaking babies and kissing hands. It's easy for Trump to be out all over the place. And I'm, again, kind of a little concerned that the media just gives all the free pass. How much free media, if you cashed out the Donald Trump media, is they're getting? That's why he shows up at the courtrooms, man. Is that's where he gets the free media.
How strong is this base now? What about a lot of the Republicans and the conservatives who are never Trumpers who will do a write-in candidates? That's one of the things that I'm thinking about too.
Doogie, here's my prediction. And, sometimes the crystal ball gets a little fuzzy looking this far out because we are still a long ways away and a lot of things can happen. Everything from health scares to criminal convictions. I mean, so much can change between now and then. The world could be a different place between now and then.
War, right? Pandemic.
But I will take my chances on the head-to-head matchup between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. I will take my chances on Joe because Joe's a decent human being and he is still appealing to independents and moderate Republicans that are never Trumpers. And I think if it's these two again, I think Joe Biden will get more than 81 million votes. And I can't imagine Trump will increase his support because he also has a record to run on, and it was god-awful. Thank you all for listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Great record round here. Thank you to Chad Spade, the sponsor of the For the Love of Democracy Tour 2024. Next stop, Vegas for yours truly.
Yeah, baby.
And next stop, Maggie Donville. And then, raised in the Wisco Black Convergence here in Madison with Brandy Grayson. Keep it locked, Civic Media.